Hello, everybody, and welcome to Amateur Cast, where I get you and your replays to be casted for my entertainment, and hopefully to help you improve a little bit as well. I'm your host, ZookaMan, and we're going to be going into a ZVZ. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our players. In the 12 o'clock position on the map, Vanny Research Station, we have ARAC Sangchu in the blue. I sort of maybe rhymed a little bit there, but it was completely unintentional, I swear. And his opponent on the opposite side of the map, in the 6 o'clock position, we have LOFAC Extinction. And sorry, Extinction, I don't have a rhyme for you, because that would require a bunch of forethought, and I have not had the opportunity to do so. A little bit of a disclaimer before we go into this game. I may have sort of, partially, kind of, casted this before. And kind of let me explain. The first 15 minutes, I started the cast up like I normally did. And at about 15-minute mark, I'm like, I better check if I'm recording, so I don't have to do this all over again. Because I felt like I wasn't, from some sixth sense, and I wasn't recording, so I didn't record. So I have to do it all over again. And hopefully, there's going to be no I didn't record, or getting murdered by my cat, or whatever's going to be going on. Hopefully, everything stays quiet and everything stays good, and we can just get through this replay and move on with our lives. That being said, what's going on? What's ZVZ? Well, besides being the Zerg versus Zerg matchup, we're gonna be seeing early hatcheries, and that's not too out of the ordinary. Early hatcheries, probably around the 15 mark, into pools, usually at the 15-16 mark, depending upon what exactly the players are wanting to do. We're gonna have a gas first coming up from Extinction, which means he'll probably have the gas to do what most every other Zergs do in the matchup, and that is go into Lings, because Lings with speed, especially on a long map and big map to a certain extent, like Vanny Research Station, the speed really helps, whether it's the metabolic boost for Zergling speed, your Glyrby Constitution for your Roach speed, or your Augular movements, I believe is what it's called, for Hydralisks. Very important to have that, as well as good creep spread, so that you can get out across the map and not feel like it's taking years in order to do so. We're going to be seeing a late gas from Sangchu, which usually would indicate that we're going to be seeing a third base. Of course, we're going to have a pause here, but it's a replay, so we got it covered, guys. Is going to be going up onto Metabolic Boost as well right now. No layer. Going to be going for double queens from both of them. And it is all good. Wouldn't be too surprised, or I probably would be surprised, and this is ZVZ, to see a third base in the nearest future for one, if not both of these players. Or they could be doing something like Mass Roach, and that would just be not really necessary. You don't need 3 bases for Roach. He's going to be going for gas now from Sangchu, so he'll be able to get things like Metabolic Boost. Bit late, it's going to delay his speed, and he's not going to get much more out of it besides a couple of extra rounds of drones. So, not necessarily all that worth it in my opinion. Probably in my... I probably would say he forgot. That's probably a good indication. Metabolic Goose is finishing up now from our red player, which means that he'll be able to take the Zerglings on their nightly stroll across the map. We're also going to be seeing the Bangling nest laying down. So we'll probably see Banglings. I know, shocker. Zerglings are going to be moving on up to the main base area. There is going to be a spine crawler up here at the top, but that's going to be okay. One Ling is going to be completely murdered, and the rest are going to be sort of chased down. Kind of half-heartedly, but it's okay, because Lings are super fast when they have the speed upgrade. And they are going to be catching off the Zerglings over here near this kind of poolish area. These roots or vines? Questions we ask ourselves when we look at the map. Just me, huh? We're going to be seeing banglings added on up here and a couple more down here. So it looks like he might be wanting to push in here. And if he can get those banglings up there, he might be able to get quite a bit of damage. However, there are going to be having a couple of Lings here that are actually going to get caught out. A couple more going to be going down, but not really the best connections for Extinction. And Sangchu, that's pretty darn good for him because, yeah, the banglings weren't really the best, but he has roaches. And that means that banglings will be not necessarily as effective as they were before. Speed is on its way, finally, which is kind of surprising considering how many Lings there are on the map right now. But I digress. Guideline Constitution is added on. We have that +1 as well for the missile attacks from our Zerg player. Third base is on its way from Extinction, and it's going to be popping up in the not so nearest future, but still the nearest future. And I kind of like that term, apparently. Because I've said it a lot this cast, and I think I did say it quite a bit on the other one I did before this for this one. Like the other take. Maybe that's just my word for the day. In any case, we do have Galarian Constitution finishing up. We do have that +1 armor, which is going to help out a lot in Roach versus Roach fights, which do happen fairly often in the matchup. Lair is just now finishing up from Extinction. Excuse me. What was saying? Oh yeah, roaches have started. Lair's finishing up. And I think we already have Lair back home from Sangchu. Yes, we do. It's going to have an advantage as far as this +1. There is a little bit of push out with the Lings. The natural expansion. I think that's probably because of a misrally. He brought all of his units, or selected all of his units, and kind of A-clicked, and the Lings out ahead. But at least he was able to pull them out in a relatively short amount of time. Roaches are going to be engaging. I'm going to let go of my mouse and I'm just going to drag across the screen. And we're going to have a little bit of an engagement here. Of course, the Roaches are going to have a disadvantage from Sangchu. I'm not even trying now. Sangchu, who's going to be backing on up. He is going to try to engage this, but not really going to be able to do anything. At the end of the day, we do have the centrifugal hooks added on for bangling movement speed, and now that I think about it, Zerg had a lot of movement speed upgrades. Metabolic boost for Lings. We're going to have to hold on to that thought. Sangchu going to be pushing on in. Once again, doesn't really have the roach count to be able to do this, but he might be able to pick off a couple roaches and be a little gnat. Extinction is going to be pressing forward. Sangchu going to be finding a little bit difficult to continue to hold on. I believe it's 1-1 to nothing right now, but at least the Carapace is going to be kicking in just a little bit here. And the missile tax has already hit. A couple of roaches are about to get in that natural expansion, and those are going to be able to do really not all that much. They're not the most cost-efficient roaches, but at least they were able to get a couple of drones and maybe set up Sangchu's arc than he needs. It looks like if we engagement between these two players, I think Extinction has more right now. Roaches, as well as that spine crawl, which is going to help out. So I don't think that he's in danger of losing here. There are a bunch of roaches, so I think Sangchu should really kind of fall back before he loses all these roaches and has to build them all over again. Ooh. These roaches are going to be moving on back, but he did lose a lot more than he really needed to. And that is as it is. Third base is up. Would be great to see this start to get saturated so we can get a little bit of income. There's an engagement down here between the two roach armies. A couple of Bangladesh are going to roll in and help out. So Sangchu is going to be forced to fall back with his roaches and give them a chance to kind of regroup before he moves out once again. Extinction, though, he's going to be pressing his advantage right now. And might have a chance to do so. Back when we have 2-2 about to start up, or 2-1 rather, and I'm assuming the carapace is probably going to come up fairly shortly here. We do have an overseer to be able to help deny creep, which is always a good thing. Though, in all honesty, I haven't seen a whole bunch against Zerg. But that's alright. We're going to have a lot of other upgrades start to research now from Extinction as he tries to keep his bank low so he can keep up on his economy. Good job there, Extinction. I like it. Always good to see. Of course, Sangchu is going to be going up onto more roaches and a couple of extra drones, taking a little bit of a chance to drone there, which may not have been the best decision considering there are a bunch of roaches outside of his main base. Third and fourth is about to be established. Third has been established. And Extinction is doing a pretty decent job of keeping up on his expansion timings. Sangchu needs to work a little bit on it. Hasn't been the most consistent with his. But if you can find another way to get back into this, or tech-wise, he might be able to do so, and it looks like he might try to do that, as there is an infestation pit coming on down. This could be for Quick Hive, which could be for Ultralisk, could be for Brood Lords. Maybe, just maybe, we will see Infestors in this matchup, and I would love to see Infestors, because Infestors are still a really awesome unit. They're just not as strong as things like, say, the Viper. So, yeah, Infestors would be nice. It could also be Swarm Hosts, but, you know, Swarm Hosts are the less fun Infestor. Looks like Extinction is wanting to move out across the map right about now. Sangchu is going to be denying a bit of scouting, but speaking of scouting, lots of good vision here from Extinction. And hold on to that thought, we're going to have an engagement with the Lings leading the charge, and Sangchu is going to be able to move on in. And the roaches are dying left and right. I think that Sangchu might have more, though. I think he still has the upgrade advantage as well, which is going to help out a ton as he pushes on into this. Extinction is going to be falling back right about now. He's going to use his roaches' ability to tunnel claws. And this can be able to get a couple extra roaches as they try to run away. Although I think it might have been a better choice to just run them away as opposed to use that, because that's just going to get them a little bit awkward. But we're having engagement here. Sangchu might have been a bit trapped here, but I think he still has the roach advantage. And with the Dirty Locust added onto the field, it will be Swarm Hosts that are added on here from him, which Swarm Hosts can be pretty effective against roaches if you don't have the ability to get near them. And with a wall of locusts, that's a bit hard to do sometimes. Locust is going to be finishing up. We'd have more roaches, and just in case you didn't believe it, more roaches. Sangchu is behind about 40 supply right now, which is a bit unfortunate. Ooh. But here comes the major engagement. There is going to be a bit of a concave advantage in front of Sangchu, who's going to be... Extinction is going to be using the tunneling quads to move his roaches over into a better position so that the concave isn't so devastating. But really didn't accomplish much. I'd much rather have seen the the tunneling micro, where you tunnel down one roach, bring it up, tunnel down, a little bit like blink micro, but with roaches and burrow. When used properly, it's actually really freaking cool. And since he has it, he might as well use it. Infestation bit from Extinction is always where. This could be for Hive Tech. In fact, it probably is. Now that 2-2 is finished up, he's probably wanting to go up onto 3-3. But maybe we'll see Swarmhost for Swarmhost play. I don't know. Roaches are going to be engaging roaches here, and we're going to have a little bit of fire taken on as Sangchu tries to fall back and then come back in and then fall back once again. It's a little bit interesting to see what it is he plans on doing. Swarmhosts have spawned out and are in position. And he does have 3 on the map right now. 3 more on the way. With Locust starting to spread out. Roaches are going to get ready to move on in right now, and they are going to be engaging straight on top of the Swarmhost. If he can't take those out, this might not be a good engagement for him. And there are a lot of roaches there who are going to be in trouble with those Locusts, and a lot of damage going to get done. And there comes the GG from Extinction, realizing that he really didn't have enough to be able to deal with that. And must I point out, that is both terrifying and awesome at the same time. Alright. Now is the time, as always, that we take a look at each of these players could have done better, so that they and you can learn a bit for next time. So, we're going to start with our not winning player, or loser of this match, Extinction. And the biggest thing I have to say, we're both players, but especially for Extinction, was tech. And I understand that ZVZ often does end up being Roach versus Roach, but tech is very important for Zerk. And this is also very apparent in the fact that tech switches are very, very powerful. Like, take ZVP, for example. A tech switch into Mutalisks, when your opponent is expecting things like Roach Hydro, very, very quickly can end up winning you the game in a lot of cases. Or an Ultralisk switch can come out and destroy a Protoss player who does not have the proper amount of mortals. So tech is very important. And the problem with going Roach versus Roach, especially in such late of a game, is that you run the risk of your opponent getting that tech first. Such as what we saw from Sangchu here. Roach, as itself, will not win you games in the late game. And as soon as your opponent goes for more tech, then you find yourself as a disadvantage. I will say in his favor that Extinction did have very good expansion timings and saturation speed. He had a good income, but I think that his tech was just a little bit off. Now looking at Sangchu, I definitely think his bases were a bit behind, especially behind of Extinction. He always got things up a bit late, he was always about a base behind. So definitely could work on your timing and your windows for that. And if you're not expanding, you want to attack. And if you're attacking, you want to expand behind it. It's a matter of trying to get your resources spent. as well as keeping yourself as useful as possible. Besides that, I think that the same problem kind of applies to from Extinction to Sangchu. Tech. Tech is very, very important, as I explained, and I think if either one of these players had gone tech a little bit sooner, it might have turned out to be more in their favor, as opposed to this last minute sort of thing. You can do a lot of things. You can transition to Hydras, you can transition into Ultralists, you can transition into Broodlords, you can transition into Swarm Hosts. There's a lot of options that you can do or add on to a composition. But Roach versus Roach is a very volatile thing. Because your opponent gets the roaches, gets away from the roaches faster, then you find yourself at a vulnerable position. And for Sangchu, if he had not had those swarm hosts, he would not have had the tech advantage, and he didn't have the economic advantage. So if he had not had the economic advantage and not had the tech advantage as well, then I think Extinction would have had the opportunity to win this. So what I'd have to say, to take away from both players and any Zerg out there, tech is very important, especially in ZVZ. So make sure that you don't go Roach versus Roach. Very, very important that you remember that. Okay, guys, I think that will be it for this one. Before I go, a few real quick announcements. If you would like this cast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to get your game casted, you can send a replay on over to ZookaMan900@gmail.com. That is 900. Or if you'd like to just get a replay casted and don't mind if it's me, check out the subreddit Casted. Both will be in the description below. I highly, highly, highly suggest going to Casted because it's a great place for both casters and players alike. It's a very small knit community with lots of good people, and it's definitely worth checking out, you guys. So, that's going to be it for this one, guys. So this is ZookaMan, and we'll see you on the next cast. Take care, guys.